Hi there. This is Mark Edelman, speech-language pathologist, and welcome to the teaching of talking. I'm out for my morning walk in the desert this morning, and, as I'm out here walking, I always get these ideas, and one of the things I've learned to do is that when I get an idea that I should be doing something, I do it. Yeah, that's a different concept. Yeah, I mean, I remember before, back in the day, I used to get an idea, well, I should do this, or I should do that, or I should do that, and I'd agree with myself, but then nothing would happen. And so this particular video is about a famous doctor. And he's a famous doctor that I studied years ago. And I really like his work. And in fact, I'm going to be sharing some of the ideas of some very famous people who were able to get people to do what they knew they needed to do. Because there are a lot of people who know they need to do something, but sometimes they just never get around to it. Reminds me of a good friend of mine, an old friend of mine by the name of Dr. James Costello, who was a dentist, and he was a public speaker. And he'd go speak at some of the local meetings in Lakeland, Florida, and he'd have this great big circular thing that looked like a lollipop, and it would say on it, I'm getting around to it. So anyway, but we're not going to talk about Dr. Costello, and I hope he's okay wherever he is. I want to talk about somebody else who was around in the 1800s. A lot of us who are in the now, which is the 2020, many of us pay attention to previous thinkers, thinkers who were profound in their thinking, and thinkers who were able to make a massive positive change in our society, in our technology, and with inventions and things like that. And there are others who don't want to do that. But I want to teach you about a very interesting man who was a physician in France. And his name was Dr. Emile Kuwait. And Dr. Kuwait was a pretty cool guy. He was a physician. And he was around in the 1800s in France. And he was a very popular doctor. People would line up outside of his office from early in the morning to get the opportunity to meet with Dr. Kuwait and tell them about their illness or about the challenge that they were faced with. And they'd walk out of his office and they would feel 100% better than they did before they went in. So I heard about this guy, and I figured, well, I better find out what his secret is. So I started reading about him, and one of the things that I learned about him was that when people came to see him with a problem, he would address it as best that he could medically. But he also knew that any medical problem also has a mental component. It has an attitudinal component, and it has a belief component to it. So we all know that If a person is a pessimist, they seem to attract negativity. If people are optimists, they seem to attract positive thinking, positive approaches, positive people, and things like that. So anyway, the people used to line up outside of Dr. Kuwait's office in France. I want you to imagine that. You've probably had to stand in a line from time to time back in the day. And so imagine yourself standing in a line, going to see this famous doctor, and he finally shows up, and you tell him about your problem, and he does what he can as far as medical science is concerned. But then he does what many in medical science do not always do. There are many who do, but there are also many who don't. And that is the role of attitude, motivation, and belief. And what he told each and every patient who walked into his office is he'd have them repeat this phrase over and over again until they could say it by themselves without his cueing, and then they would leave the office. Well, if you had aphasia back then, you'd come in with your caregiver. And the caregiver would learn it. And the caregiver would then go home and repeat it along with the person who had aphasia or apraxia. But anyway, so you might be wondering, well, Mark, let's get to it. What's the beef? Where's the beef? Well, the beef is Dr. Kuwait used to say to his patients, I want you to meditate on an idea. I want you not only to meditate on it, but I want you to say it out loud. And he said, I want you to say it out loud hundreds of times a day. He sounded like a good speech therapist. Because that's what we want. That's what we want people to do. We want the caregiver to know certain words, certain phrases, or certain sounds, and work with them over and over throughout the day. So in a way, Dr. Kuwait is kind of like an individual who I happen to believe in. I believed in his work, and we have like minds. But anyway, let's get back to what Dr. Kuwait. They're going, come on, Mark, will you get to it already? All right, so what Dr. Kuwait said is he'd sit down with the patient, and he'd look them right in the eye, and he would say, okay, repeat after me. And they'd go, okay. And he'd say, each and every day. And they'd go, each and every day. And then Dr. Kuwait would say, in every way. And they would say, in every way. Then Dr. Kuwait would say, I'm getting better. So let's put it all together here. Each and every day, in every way, I'm getting better. Each and every day, in every way, I'm getting better. Each and every day, in every way, I'm getting better. Each and every day, in every way, I'm getting better. Now, that people who were depressed, people who were worried, people who were, at the end of their rope, so to speak, would come to Dr. Kuwait, and he'd have them saying that. And then they'd go home and say that. And then they'd say that to their husband or their wife. And then they'd say that to the children. Each and every day, in every way, I'm getting better. Okay. So it's a great phrase. And I don't know about you, but in just saying that, I feel more invigorated and more empowered right now than I did when I started this video. But, now you could say whatever phrase you want, okay? But unless you back it up with something, you could be, saying these phrases over and over again. And if you don't have an action plan behind that, then the results can be questionable. And so you might ask me, well, what do I need to back this up with? Well, if you have aphasia or if you have apraxia, and you're thinking each and every day in every way I'm getting better, okay, you got to have something that you're going to do in order to make that happen. Just wishing for something doesn't always cut the mustard. It just doesn't, okay? What you got to do is Dr. Kuwait would not only say to them in each and every way I'm getting better, Dr. Kuwait would also prescribe something for them to do. And what I'm prescribing to you, those of you who have loved ones with apraxia or with aphasia, is to obtain a copy of the Teaching of Talking for Aphasia. That's the red book, and it has the pencils with the coffee cups on the cover. And get that with the video course. And this is a gate that I'm going through right now, so please forgive me. Okay. So, so you wanna get what you'll need in order to make that happen each and every day in every way I'm getting better. So there is a video course, there's a book, and then there's our new book called The Teaching of Talking, How to Help Adults and Children Speak Better at Home. And Dr. Emil Kuwait would tell you, and I'm informing you, that if you get these books, and if your loved one has aphasia and apraxia, you got to do the apraxia one first so that they can speak clearly. Then you teach them how to put sentences together, because they can't put sentences together if they're not speaking clearly. So what you want to do, again, is repeat that phrase each and every day in every way I'm getting better, and repeat the phrase, today I've got to get Mark's aphasia book and his video, and today I've got to get his digital copy of the Apraxia book. Now, I've priced these really low for everybody, and so you have all the opportunity in the world. Don't be one of those people like my friend Dr. Jim Costello, who used to say, I'm getting around to it, and holding up this great big thing that looks like a lollipop. And don't be one of those woulda, coulda, shoulda people, because that won't get you anywhere. And guess where I'm getting? I'm coming up to that place that I pass sometimes on a particular path, and that's the cemetery. I'm approaching that right now. And if you ever need a little motivation, just think about the fact that if you don't do this, okay, then who knows, you may be called home to wherever that place is, and you may have missed your opportunity. Don't miss your opportunity, please. Don't miss your opportunity to help those with apraxia and with aphasia. I've made it easy enough so that you can do it at home. I've made it easy enough by realizing that formal speech therapy will never be able to provide the amount of therapy that your loved one is going to need to talk better or again. All right? You've got to learn it. Now, if your therapist knows these methods and these techniques and teaches you, that's one thing. However, if you sit outside when you're when your loved one is getting therapy, and your therapist says something to you, well, I don't think you should come in the room because your loved one, it might make him anxious or frustrated. No. That's not true, okay? If a therapist has a solution, a therapist will be glad to have you come in and will be glad to teach you exactly what they know so that you can ameliorate the problem, okay? A lot of times it's the therapists who are not necessarily skilled in aphasia or apraxia therapy. Sometimes they're the ones who don't want anybody in the therapy room. I mean, I sure as heck didn't want anybody in the therapy when I was first starting out because I wasn't sure what I was doing. And I didn't want to come across like I wasn't sure I knew what I was doing. So anyway, remember Dr. Kuwait, each and every day in every way, I'm getting better. And down below the video are a bunch of links so you can get started today. Don't let any grass grow under your feet. Let's get it done. I'm inviting you to join us by either purchasing the aphasia book, the Apraxia book, or letting us know that you're interested in an upcoming webinar in aphasia and apraxia and dysarthria. And these webinars, they're going to be going on for like a month. Okay, I'm going to give you intensive training. Better training than even many students get at the university level because I've been in the trenches with these patients for 46 years. I'm not some person in an ivory tower who, does research and writes all the time, but doesn't really spend their life in the trenches. And the trenches is doing the therapy, doing the actual work. So, have a great day today. I look forward to seeing you in the future. And my best and personal wishes to you and your families. Bye-bye now.